Did you know that today is Happiness Happens Day? Did you have happiness in your life today? Did you expect it? What did you expect when you woke up today? What went through your mind? Your mind is a powerful thing. It houses your expectations, which build the blueprints and plans for your life. You get what you expect in life. You expect what you create. Expect the good, and goodness is showered upon you. Expect the bad, and watch out. If we look at the definition of expectation, we find belief, anticipation, probability. An expectation is a strong belief that something will happen or be the case in the future. It is a belief that someone will achieve something. Our powerful mind is constantly busy building our blueprints, creating the expectations for our lives. What do you expect? What plans are you building in your mind? I have a friend who was expecting to be late to a recent job interview. Guess what? He was. Not only was he late, but he tried to make up for lost time by speeding on the highway. Not a smart move. When the police officer pulled him over and told him he was doing 150 in a 65-mile-an-hour zone, he told the officer that that wasn't possible since he had the pedal to the metal and his speedometer only goes up to 95. His dad just laughed when he heard about it and said, "Your fancy new car only does 95. Ha! My old clunker goes up to 135. My friend gently broke the news. "That's kilometers, Dad. Your car goes up to 85. Are you putting the pedal to the metal? What does that even mean? This expression originated during the 1950s when cars' floorboards were made of metal and race car drivers would put the accelerator all the way down to the floor to make their car go as fast as possible. It has now come to mean work as quickly as possible. When you put the pedal to the metal in your life, you are operating at full speed, working hard, and putting in maximum effort to accomplish something. When you do this, what do you expect? When we push ourselves hard, we're expecting a successful outcome. Otherwise, we wouldn't even bother. We believe that we will achieve our goal, and often we do. Why? Because we expect it, and often we get what we expect. When we expect something to happen, we imagine it in our mind. We think about the outcome, about our future. Some people like to dump their mind out onto paper and create vision boards. A vision board is a collage of images, photos, and affirmations that can help people to visualize their goals. Most people have goals for their life. It can be helpful to put them onto paper in order to stay focused. Visualization is a powerful tool for the mind. Visualize your success. Expect it. Don't just hope, expect. While an expectation is a strong belief in the outcome of the future, hope is more of a wish that something might happen. Keep a strong expectation. Imagine your outcome and imagine the success you will achieve. You get what you expect. Let's take a short walk down memory lane. Do you remember your first car? What color was it? Green, yellow, fire engine red? Feel free to type it in the chat if you like. Let's say you bought a fire engine red car. It's possible that you really didn't notice any red cars on the road before you bought it. Once that beauty was in your driveway, did it seem like every other car on the road was red? Since you bought a red car, that must have been the best color for a car. And all those red cars on the road just prove you're right. Were they even there before? I'll bet they were. You just weren't stopping to notice them. You see what you expect to see. My first car was nothing special, but when I finally graduated college and got a real job, I bought a sports car. Not initially, of course. I am, after all, a girl. One day, I was heading out to lunch in my boring four-door sedan and saw a female coworker drive off in a beautiful sports car. What? Girls can drive sports cars? What did I expect? Why can't we? Did you know that data from the Department of Transportation shows that for nearly every year of the past 35 years, the number of male crash deaths was more than twice the number of female crash deaths? Sorry, guys. According to the data, women are safer drivers. What did I expect? Why can't we drive sports cars? When I bought mine, I was so excited, I showed it off to all my friends. One of them asked how many speeding tickets came with it. He said the car looked so fast, he figured there were at least 3 tickets sitting in the glove compartment. That made me stop and think. You can't get a speeding ticket if you don't drive over the speed limit, right? I had spent enough money on this car, and the insurance premiums weren't cheap. I couldn't risk an even higher premium cost by accumulating speeding tickets. Of course, that didn't stop the police officers from pulling me over. I remember the first one to try. He waved me on after observing that I wasn't a newly licensed teenager looking to race. Another actually did stop me. He chased me for 2 miles down the parkway at night. There was no shoulder on this particular stretch of road, and I didn't deem it safe to stop in the middle of the road. So we had the slowest chase scene in the world until I found an exit about 2 miles later. Did I get a speeding ticket? Of course not. I wasn't speeding. What did you expect? How about the police officer that stopped me? What did he expect? Gorgeous new sports car on the parkway. Must be a new teenage driver looking for a race. I'll give him a chase. When I finally stopped, he saw that I was a mature woman driving safely, doing the speed limit. Would he have followed me in my old, boring four-door sedan? Probably not. Expectation is a powerful thing. It led the police officer on a parkway chase with a surprising end. Luckily, I knew that every police officer out there was looking to write some tickets for sports car drivers, and that is what made me always want to obey the posted speed limits. Although I didn't put the pedal to the metal on the road, I certainly did in other areas. Work as hard and fast as I can to advance my career? Check. Become a great cook so my family can eat decent home-cooked meals? Check. Push myself to achieve the Toastmasters DTM award before the program change? Check. I had high expectations for myself, for my life, and I met them all, head on, pedal to the metal. You may have big goals for your life. Think for a moment about one of these goals. What is the outcome you expect? Are you working hard towards achieving this goal? Are you putting the pedal to the metal? Some people have told me that they're too tired or too busy to work on their life goals. If you have a passion for your goal, working on it should energize you, not make you tired. Too busy to work on it? Maybe it isn't really that important to you. If you're too tired or too busy to work on your life goals, maybe you need to evaluate your goals. Are they right for you? Are they right for you right now? What do you really want out of your life? Clarify your life goal and go for it. So never expect that you'll get there without the hard work, but it will be worth it. Don't hope, expect. Expect success, expect happiness. Get started today. Put the pedal to the metal. What are you waiting for in your life? What do you expect?
Thank you, Patty, for encouraging us to go forward and find our goals, putting that pedal to the metal. Our next speaker will be Isaak Gelbinovich. Steve Jobs said, "The most powerful person in the world is the storyteller." The storyteller sets the vision, values, and agenda of an entire generation that is to come. The story of today's presenter is a powerful testament that there are no obstacles that you cannot overcome, no walls that you cannot break, and no circumstances that you can't conquer. Isaak, president of Speaking to Succeed, distinguished Toastmaster, a member of the Omni-Pro Speakers Bureau of Toastmasters District 83, came to the United States with his family in 1980. He did not speak a word of English. Isaak took English as a second language at Baruch College of the City University of New York, where he decided that his language barrier would not hold him back. Since then, Isaak has taught at the Chubb Institute of Technology, the Learning Annex, has presented his workshops in the United States and Europe, has appeared in off-Broadway plays and on local TV stations. Isaak is a published author of the book, Conversations Made Easy, How to Talk to Anyone for Pleasure or Profit. He is a professional speaker, lecturer, workshop leader, and certified presentation coach. Audiences have repeatedly said that Isaak has a gift of presenting complicated material in a simple and actionable way so that you are able to immediately apply what you learned. Please let's welcome Isaak, our storyteller. Isaak Gelbinovich, if not you, then who? If not you, then who? Isaak Gelbinovich.
Thank you, Anne-Marie. Actually, it's the first time somebody introduced me exactly as it was written. Thank you again. When did you have a conversation? The question is for everybody, not just for Anne-Marie. Think about it. When last time did you have a conversation face to face, real conversation? Was it before pandemic, which is about more than 2 years ago? Or was it recently, like this morning for me? We are now in post-pandemic times. That's the new phrase, post-pandemic. What does it mean? It means that pandemic is passing away, and this is a post-pandemic times. So the times will not change anymore. It's post-pandemic. It's going to go on and on. This is our new normal. A lot of times I hear people waiting to go back to normal. There is no back to normal. This is the normal. How about going forward to normal? Going forward. Patty just told us what pedal to the metal means. I had no idea what it is. I just found out from Patty. And it's interesting how the old saying is, none of us knows everything, but all of us know everything. So we learn from each other. How? By communicating, by talking to each other, by having conversations. Face-to-face conversations. Nowadays, the new normal is we are all online, most of the time. I mentioned most of them, not all the time. So most of the time we're all online, on Zoom, on any other platform, doesn't matter. So it takes away something from the conversation. It's not personable. It's not, you cannot reach out and touch somebody. I still remember this commercial. I'm aging myself. Reach out and touch somebody. It was a telephone company commercial. But think about it. When we are on Zoom, when we are online, we cannot touch somebody. We can only think that we see you. We only think that we're together, but in reality, we're not. So technology somehow separates us. Don't get me wrong. I'm not against technology. I'm an engineer by education. I was programmer most of my adult life, professional life. So I'm for computers. I work with computers, but still, I don't want to be replaced by a computer. Just this weekend, we had hail farewell for our district, outgoing district director. And it was a hybrid meeting, meaning online and in person. As soon as I saw in person, right away, there was no question in my mind for 1 second, I'm going to be in person. Now, for those of you who doesn't know where I am, geographically, I'm in Brooklyn, New York City, Brooklyn. So for me to get to the location took me about 2 hours. Okay? Plus I had to pay for registration, for gas, for tolls. Was it worth it? Yes, definitely, hands down, it was worth it. Would I do it again? Definitely. Not a question in my mind. Did I enjoy it? Absolutely. Immensely. Because I could be there physically. I saw my friends. I could come up and hug somebody. Now, I'm a very conscientious person. I'm an adult, I think, most of the times. So before I went to the meeting, I took a test. I have home tests, like 10 of them by now. So I took a test, made sure I'm negative, because I do respect other people's concerns. But I did go there. And I enjoyed it. Now, like I said, it was hybrid meeting. Again, I'm not against technology, but still, reach out and touch somebody. Have a conversation with somebody. Because it does, when we're together, we do change each other's lives. We do affect each other's lives. I needed to register for a lab visit. So yesterday I called and machine made an appointment for me. There wasn't even an option to talk to an operator. Because I remember beforehand, like in good old times, there was an option. You could have said operator and you could get to a poor person. There is no option like this anymore. The machine registers you. Now, what's wrong with it? I was registered. I got my appointment. It was valid. Nothing was wrong. But in good old times, and I will use this term sometime, good old times, I could have a little conversation with a registering person. Maybe a little laugh, maybe a little joke. And I love to hear accents like Southern accent, Boston accent. And we would chat a little bit like, where are you from? What do you do? How was the weather in there? It was pleasant. It was enjoyable. Not anymore. This morning I came to the lab and I had to register. Again, there was a tablet on a table. There is no human being anymore. I tapped few taps and I was registered. They knew I'm in. And then lab technician called me into the room. Finally, a lovely lady, a human being. And we had a little conversation while she was filling out the form, preparing the things that she needed to prepare. We had a little conversation. Found out about each other sometimes. And I, for example, found out that she's terrified of public speaking. Surprise, surprise. And when I told her that I'm going to have a presentation tonight about public speaking, about our relationships, about interaction, she was fascinated. Like, wow, so nice. How do you do that? So, well, to get rid of fear of public speaking, you need to start speaking in public. Then I kind of pointed out to her that right now she's speaking in public because she's not at home and she's speaking to me. So she is speaking in public. Interesting, isn't it? And we had a lovely conversation, just a few minutes, but it was so nice, so refreshing. So when did you have a conversation last time? Face-to-face conversation? Or are you waiting for good old times? By the way, if not you, then who? That's the title of my speech. Actually, the original title comes from Old Testament. If not me, then who? If not now, then when? Talking about good old times. Very old times. I just changed it a little bit. We'll get to it why. So if not me, then who? If not now, then when? So what did you do to change the paradigm a little bit? To enrich our lives, to enrich your life? Because if it's not you, then who? What are we waiting for? We're waiting back to normal. It's not going back. Life goes only forward. Pedal to the metal and move straight forward. Because this is new normal. This is the back. Good old times now, or good new times. So instead of being reserved and afraid and thinking like, oh my God, I'm gonna get sick. Again, like Patty said, you get what you expect. If I'm expecting to get sick, if I'm expecting to fail, I will fail, I will get sick. I'm not looking to get sick, but I'm not expecting it either. Let's live our lives. Let's reach out and touch somebody. Let's reach out and connect with somebody. Let's have a conversation, face-to-face conversation, whenever it's possible. Because when we're having conversations, magic happens. Strangers become acquaintances. Acquaintances become friends. We're creating magic of friendship. Go out there, do your magic.
Thank you, Isaac. We need to remember, if not you, then who? We are in charge of our own destiny. So thank you for that message. Our next speaker will be Margarita Estrada. How often have you seen a speaker who can keep an audience from beginning to end and never let them go? Was it the speaker's personality, ability to connect, to touch the minds and hearts of the audience that made you say, I want to be that speaker? Margarita Estrada is a former panic attack sufferer turned inspirational speaker, virtual skills presenter, and team building coach who teaches you, the audience, how to summon the power within so you can speak with confidence. Known in literary circles as the well-connected writer, she authored and published the book Vignettes of a Family Journey in 2018, a bilingual memoir that brings awareness to those who are not familiar with Alzheimer's and dementia and its effects on the family. In addition, her articles have been featured in local magazines and on social media. Margarita's mantra is, build your arsenal, break the barriers, stand up and dare to be the challenger, be the initiator, and the change agent that you were meant to be. Please welcome Margarita Estrada. Margarita Estrada, what's your edge? What's your edge? Margarita Estrada.
When you think of the word edge, what comes to mind? When I think of the word edge, I think about a dull knife and a sharp knife. The dull knife has become that way due to oxidation, sediment, and overuse. Take that knife, dump it in vinegar, scrub it with a wire brush, and then pass it through a sharpener, and it could cut through anything, including your fingers, so you better be careful. According to Dr. Laura Huang, author of the book Edge, Turning Adversity into Advantage, in an ideal world, we will be accepted for our gifts, talents, and abilities. The reality is that there's more to this than meets the eye. In order to find our edge, we have to cut through all the isms such as racism, sexism, the you are overqualified ism. I want you to go to the chat and I want you to let her rip and write down your ism. Go ahead. This is the opportunity. Let her rip. And Marie, could you please tell me at least 2 of the responses that are on the chat, please?
As soon as they come in, I will read them out.
Okay, fantastic. So I'll keep moving forward. What do we do about this? How can we be able to cut through all these isms? Dr. Huang uses the word edge as a 4-step approach to help us through this experience. E is for enrich, to show what we bring to the table. D is to delight, to show what makes us unique and different. G is to guide, to get rid of all those preconceived notions that people have about us and bring them to our side. And finally, E is for the effort, the pedal to the metal that we need to take to make our dreams come true. I will be using my niece, Alyssa Marie, as an example, as someone who embodies the EDGE principles. Alyssa was born with an ulcer on the right side of her brain, which means that she does not feel the whole right side of her body. However, through therapy, she was able to use the left side of her brain to compensate for that. As you can imagine, she was bullied many times in school. However, that did not stop her from succeeding. She was an A student through grammar school, through high school, until she came across her senior math teacher, Mr. Burnside. When she received the final exam, she saw the B+, and she was upset. Most of us would be happy with a B+, but not my niece. She was determined to graduate with A's all the way across. She walks in, she tells Mr. Burnside, Mr. Burnside, why did you give me a B+? I knew that I got the A. Why did you do that? He tells her, because you did not do it the way I taught you. She walks out of the room with the paper, she's upset. She goes to the principal and tells him, Principal Butts, Mr. Burnside just gave me a B+, I don't understand it. I did come up with the right answer. What is he doing to me? I would not let him ruin my A record. The principal knew my niece since she was little. He tells her, come with me. They go to see the math teacher. And Principal Butts tells him, Carl, you don't know who you're dealing with this young lady. He tells my niece, Alyssa, go to the board, demonstrates both methods. She goes to the board, she demonstrates both methods. Principal Butts tells him, you know what you gotta do, right? He goes, yeah, I gotta give her the A. It's all about your edge. It's all about knowing your edge. Throughout her life, Alyssa has had to prove her ability time and time again to get people to move from the ism about her and to see her for who she is. In college, she decided that she would major in sports medicine. And again, a professor tells her, no, you should be in sports medicine for the disabled. Her response, wait a minute. You're speaking to a person who can use her left brain to control the right side of her body that she doesn't feel? Don't you think that I am the perfect example that could teach athletes how to use their brain power to improve their bodies? Today, Alyssa works for the Pittsburgh Pirates organization, doing what she loves. How many of us can say that we work doing what we love? Notice Alyssa's use of the EDGE principles. First, she enriched the principal by demonstrating to him how she came up with her answer and gave him the proof of the exam. Then she delighted him with her perseverance and just the gumption to come to him. Then she guided both the teacher and the principal to get past their isms to her direction. And finally, she proved it by writing it on the board. It's all about knowing your edge. But let's dig deeper into this. Why is my niece so courageous? Why is she so confident in her ability? What is her secret? How did she find her edge? My brother Juan and his wife Gina never told my niece that she had a disability. They told her that she could do anything. And most importantly, and this is the key, she believed it. And as all of us know, we become what we believe. But what happens if we did not receive positive reinforcement? What happens if we grew up in an unhealthy atmosphere? How do we find our edge then? As a youngster, I wanted to be a dancer. And in fact, when anyone would ask me, Margarita, what do you want to be? Right away, I want to be a dancer. My parents, as wonderful as they are, put limitations on me and told me, Margarita, that is not a real job. Go in the business world. And that's what I did. Went to the business world, I was successful, but my heart was empty. There was a hole there. Now, as a public speaker, I am able to change lives. I am able to enrich, delight, guide, and put in the effort, using my niece Alyssa as inspiration, right? If you were never told that you can do anything, or if you're working in a job because you need it, not because you love it, take heart. Finding your edge can happen at any time. My niece Alyssa found it as a young adult. I found it as a mature woman. Providence works that way, right? Make a list of all the things that you love and pick that one thing that makes your heart soar. Surround yourself with people who are in that field, or if you don't have access to that, go to YouTube videos and look at people that inspire you. Take 15 minutes a day and work on your edge, right? Work on your edge. Put that pedal to the metal. The only way we'll find our edge is when we know who we are. I'm not going to lie to you. It's a struggle to cut through all that sediment and oxidation and overuse caused by all the isms of the world. And I got news for you, they're not going away. However, remember that we come from something bigger, something broader, something greater than we can imagine. And it's that force that will help us break through our edge. And now I'd like to share a picture of my niece Alyssa. So the left side of the picture is when she received her BA from Florida University. And the picture on the right is when she received her master's from Georgetown University during COVID. I show you these pictures as inspiration, so that when you are hit by those inner isms, such as, I'm too young, I'm too old, I'm disabled, remember, my niece Alyssa proved that there is nothing that can stop you. There is nothing that can hinder you. There is nothing that can ruin your chances to enrich, delight, guide, and put in the pedal to the metal once you find your edge.
Thank you, Margarita. Some of the comments that came through chat included knowledge, perseverance, do not let your disability be your inability. We actually didn't realize that some of the chat feature was disabled. So we apologize for that, but we did get the feedback through those messages. Very powerful message.
Thank you.
Our next speaker will be Mario Lewis. Mario Lewis is a distinguished Toastmaster and an award-winning, energetic speaker and presentation coach. Mario provides you with motivational messages and strategies to become powerful, persuasive, and dynamic communicators. Many men and women dream of walking on stage as a finalist at the largest public speaking contest in the world. Mario demonstrated the unique ability to engage and connect with audiences of all sizes and backgrounds when he became a Toastmasters International 2012 World Championship of Public Speaking finalists in Orlando, Florida, a 2017 semifinalist in Vancouver, British Columbia, a 2018 semifinalist in Chicago, Illinois, and a 2020 semifinalist in the first Toastmasters International Virtual World Championship of Public Speaking. For many years, he observed speakers that observed good speeches, yet they weren't connecting with their audience. Because he saw the need, he created Connect Framework. Using the mnemonic Connect, he frequently presents on how to connect with your audience to make your message effective, purposeful, and memorable. Are you ready to connect? Put your hands together and help me welcome Mario Lewis. Mario Lewis, connecting through the cracks, Mario Lewis.
In the 15th century, a Japanese shogun named Yoshimasa dropped his favorite Chinese tea bowl. It broke into several pieces when it hit the floor. He sent the damaged tea bowl back to China to be repaired. He received the tea bowl a few months later. Apparently, Yoshimasa did not have Amazon Prime. But what he received was an absolute mess. The pieces of the metal bowl were held together using bulky metal staples. Yoshimasa thought to himself, there has got to be a better way to repair the tea bowl. So he commissioned the local craftspersons and the artisans to find a better way. So this is what they came up with. They sanded down the edges of the broken tea bowl and glued them together using a golden lacquer that was filled with gold. Their objective was not to faithfully restore the bowl back to its original form. It wasn't to hide or conceal its newly acquired cracks. It was to observe the beauty and create a new bowl and create something better. Their work established a new art form called kintsugi. Kintsugi. The word is translated into the word golden joinery. It takes into account the cracks and the subsequent repairs as part of the object's history. It is unique and part of its existence. Understand, the bowl is beautiful not in spite of its cracks, but it is beautiful because of its cracks. I believe what is true about Chinese tea bowls can also be true for people. And it can also be true for you. You are beautiful not in spite of your flaws, but you are beautiful because of your flaws. Your cracks make you better. Friends, today we're going to talk about connecting through the cracks. How to connect yourself and your message because of your background, because of your past, but most importantly, because of your imperfections, because of your cracks. This message is for someone who has experienced challenges, who's experienced some types of disappointment, who's experienced setbacks. This is for somebody who has been through something. And you feel the challenges of being insecure, but you still want to connect. Is there anybody who's been through something that still wants to connect? I think back to my own personal story. See, when I first joined Toastmasters about 12 years ago, I would compete in these local contests in the New York and New Jersey area, and I did okay. I would place near the top. But what I realized, I wasn't achieving the deep connections that I was seeking from my audiences. I was winning trophies, but I wasn't winning hearts. Then I think back to 2012, when I did something different. I took a risk. I stepped outside of my comfort zone. I wrote a speech, some of you probably heard it, called Size Matters. In that speech, I talked about my deepest, longest lasting, and most painful insecurity, my height. While my personality says I'm greater than 6 feet tall, my driver's license says I'm 5'7". But in all actually, I'm 5'5.5". But in that speech, I talked about my struggle and my pain with being a short kid as a child, as a young adult, as a teenager, as a business professional, and even as a Toastmaster. And when I told that story to audiences, I shared some ideas on how I was healing from that as an older adult, and I invited them to share with me their stories, share with me their insecurities. And the result was amazing. The outpouring was tremendous. At the end of my speeches, audiences would rally around, tell me about their insecurities, tell me about their challenges. You could feel the heartfelt emotion. You could feel the connection. For the first time, I was touching hearts. So friends, today I offer you 3 ideas to help you connect through your cracks. First, acknowledge. Acknowledge your imperfections, whether they be real or perceived. Whether it's your height, your weight, your size, your background, your education, your financial condition, it doesn't matter. Acknowledge your cracks. And acknowledge the insecurity that comes along with it. And understand that it is okay to be vulnerable. I believe Dr. Brene Brown says it absolutely best. Vulnerability is the only bridge to build a connection. Her TED Talk, The Power of Vulnerability, is one of the top 5 most viewed TED Talks in the world, with over 50 million views. She goes on to say that staying vulnerable is the risk that we must take if we want to experience connection. To build this type of bond, you must be willing to be vulnerable in front of others. Step number 2, share. Build up the courage to share your story. Dr. Burton Brown further goes on to say, when you are willing to take that risk and share a part of you, you can then open up your audiences to a message that will leave a lasting impression. I personally believe that it is important to drop your guard and share more of you, especially your failures, your fears, and your frustrations. That part of your life, which isn't always pretty, perfect, or polished. You see, back in 2012, I stopped trying to focus on being such a polished speaker. And instead, I tried to share more of me. And I'll admit, it felt uncomfortable at first to be vulnerable in front of the audiences. But eventually it became easier. And the great thing is I began telling more engaging stories, delivering more valuable messages. And I could just see the depth of connection with my audiences getting stronger. And it felt great. Last but not least, listen. Once you've taken the time to tell your story, don't just keep on talking. Listen. It is in that silence, it is in that quiet time where audiences will come to you and they will share with you their stories. They will share with you their cracks. They will share with you all the things that you want to learn about them. And in the process, you will heal. They will heal. And in that process, you will connect. Friends, in closing, by the 17th century, kintsugi became a fashion phenomenon. It is believed, it is rumored, that people would break their own tea bowls so that they could embed them in their own golden repairs. That doesn't mean that you have to go out and create new imperfections or create new insecurities to have something to talk about or something to make you feel vulnerable. I'm sure you've got enough to work with. But before you leave this Zoom call today, I want you to remember, you do not connect in spite of your cracks. You connect because of your cracks. How do I know? Back in 2012, every time I touched a heart, I received a trophy. I touched another heart, I received a trophy. I kept on touching heart after heart until I got to the 2012 World Championship of Public Speaking. So I encourage you today, as you put the pedal to the metal in your lives, your relationships, your work, in everything that you do, remember to connect through your cracks.
Thank you, Mario, for that powerful message. And I can say, sharing your failures, fears, frustrations, and vulnerabilities truly is the way to connect. One of the most difficult speeches I gave was a very personal, vulnerable story. And so many people reached out to me afterwards that I would have never probably heard from otherwise. And that is a wonderful message. Share your vulnerabilities because you don't know what somebody else is going through.
Okay.
With this moment, I am going to turn over the platform to Margarita, who will speak about the Bureau, some open positions, and then continue with the program. Margarita, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Anne. And Margarita Estrada, the current chair of the Omni-Pro Speakers Bureau, your Speakers Bureau, because we're here to represent all of you wherever we go. This will be my last event as the chair of the Bureau. And there are 3 positions open. One is, of course, the chair position, the other, the administrative position, and the third one, the social media strategist for the Bureau. Go to omniprosb.com or tm83.org and you will see the descriptions for all 3 positions. But tonight, the focus is our next 2 speakers. The purpose why we put Pedal to the Metal together is to introduce our newest members, Cyndi Wilson and Darlene Blanco. We are so excited to bring them in and because both of them bring their own unique style to the Bureau. And we decided to highlight them and highlight their skills, their talents, and their abilities. Our first speaker, our first new speaker is Cyndi Wilson. Cyndi joined Toastmasters in 2017 on the recommendation of her supervisor so that she could improve her communication skills. Throughout the years, Cyndi has been active in club, district leadership, and TI leadership. A 6-time DTM, Cyndi believes in continuous learning. She has held almost every club and district office in District 83. She was the distinguished district governor of District 83 for the 2013-2014 Toastmasters year and a region advisor for Region 5 in 2020 and Region 9 in 2021. She also created and launched the District Speakers Bureau, now the Omni-Pro Speakers Bureau. She is a lecturer at Hudson County Community College and presents workshops on diversity, equity, and inclusion in the workplace. Recently, she was interviewed by the Association of College and University Educators, ACUE, about her methods to promote inclusive teaching in the classroom for students who may be affected by the imposter phenomenon and stereotype threat. Sometimes you may feel that the world is not your friend and those dark clouds can ruin a perfectly lovely day. What can you do to change the outcome? Cyndi has a few words of encouragement that she'd like to share with you as she talks about regaining your power. If life were governed by fortune cookies. Fellow Toastmasters and friends, please welcome Cyndi Wilson.
In the dark of night, you ask yourself, why did I do that? Am I unworthy of success? Why can't I cut it? Your head is spinning and you're thinking, maybe someone else should be in charge, not me. You're tired and exhausted. It's been one of those days. And you fall asleep. Suddenly, you wake up. And you find out that something else is now in charge. Your actions are now governed by fortune cookies. Fortune cookies? You must be kidding me. Then you hear the sound of the Cookie Meister. And the Cookie Meister says, you can choose a cookie, but take care. You can have a full cookie, which means you will move forward. It could be a crushed cookie, which means you must move back. Or you may find yourself with an empty cookie, which means you cannot move at all. Reflect upon the outcomes of your selection. Choose, my child. Well, at least you didn't call me grasshopper. I get to pick up a cookie, I snap it open, and I read the first fortune, which says, you can see the light, but before you do, you have to deal with the darkness. Deal with the darkness. Dark clouds, compressed air, you can't breathe. Has anybody felt like that? Show me your hands. Has anybody felt like that? Yes. I had that feeling one day, and it was because my marriage was failing. No matter what I did to make it better, it just was not happening. I had a child who was 3 years old. I was about to become a single parent of a 3-year-old kid who was thinking it was her fault because her friends said it was. I'm trying to convince them that no, it is not your fault. It's the adults in this relationship, or non-relationship if you want to look at it that way. My friends, I called them my faux friends. They were tisking and clucking their tongues just outside my peripheral vision. But when I saw them face to face, they were smiling wonderfully. I had relatives who were very sympathetic, but they were not understanding what was behind the situation. That feeling of failure was curled up like a very tight ball in my stomach. But then I saw this little flicker of light. It was there. I had to reach deep into my soul and bring that light out. Faith can do that to you. You have to have faith. Choose the light and hold on to that light. Well, the Cookie Meister got a little upset because I could figure something out what that one says. Time to choose another cookie. Choose another cookie. And this one has 2 fortunes in it. Well, you can't beat that, man. You should get double the prize for 2 cookies with a fortune. Let's see what we got. Okay, first one says, don't be afraid to take a big step. You can't cross a chasm in 2 small jumps. Well, I can believe that. The other one says, 2 small jumps are sometimes better than 1 big leap. Wait a minute. I've got contradictory cookie things here. What the heck am I supposed to do with this? I can't tell whether I should go up, whether I should go down, whether I should go to my left, whether I should go to my right. A double stuffed cookie is like an empty cookie because I can't move. Have you felt that way sometimes too? You get to that point when you find that you are between the proverbial rock, hopefully the rock's a little bigger than this one, or the hard place. Well, I felt that way too. And I said, well, this is not supposed to be a Yogi Berra moment. Remember what Yogi said? When you get to a fork in the road, take it. Is he telling me I should make a decision? Yes, you need to make a decision to go to the left or to the right. You ask yourself, is it the right decision? Well, based upon the information that you have to decide on the data that you have whether or not you're going to the left, to the right, up or down. But what if it's the wrong decision? You cannot say that it's the wrong decision because you just learned something. Think of Nelson Mandela. And he said, I never lose. I either win or I learn. And that's the same thing that goes for you too. So when you make that decision, whether the outcome is positive or not as positive as you'd like it, you have learned something new. You move forward with it. I've made my decision and we are walking away. We see the automatic door like the ones in the supermarket. And you know how they are. They will open for you. Well, I keep moving. Wham! Face plant right into the window. The Cookie Meister is now truly giggling. And he says, ha ha, it's time to pick another cookie. Another cookie right now? Are you kidding me? Well, as you're there rubbing your nose because you really did a really bad face plant. You pick it up and you say, all right, what does this one say? Oh, don't wait for others to open the right doors for you. Well, sometimes we need help when we want to move forward. But listen to what the fortune said. The right door, not just any door, the right door. Are you looking at a partnership? Are you looking at something that makes you a sole proprietor? Does someone want to buy out what you've done? Think about that. Consider what you want to do. Review your options. Now, I am not saying that you shouldn't consider a change in plans. Many doors may open for you. And if the facts of the matter support whatever decision you make, do it. Because that is the right door. Well, that's enough. You wake up. No, there is no Cookie Meister. No, the fortune cookies do not govern your life. However, you do realize that you have the power to change the direction of your path. There are many people who have followed the path that was walked by someone else. Yes, that is good practice, but you have the ability to forge your own path on the uniqueness that is truly you. So don't always follow where the pathway leads. Go where there is no path and leave a trail. Think about that Peloton commercial where you can be that plate of fajitas walking through a crowded restaurant with heads turning. Sizzle, baby. Who wants to lead their life to chance? To a bunch of fortune cookies. When you can light up the sky with your passion, your power, your greatness. Those are your gifts, gifts that you can share with others, but specifically gifts that you can give to who else but yourself. Today is a perfect day to give you that special person, that special gift, that special self. Well, how do I do that? Think about it. First, remember what we heard. Choose the light. Always choose the light. That little kernel of greatness that's deep in your soul, you pull it out, you bring it up, and it gets brighter and brighter. Just like we said, faith. Faith is the fuel of that light. Believe that you can do that. Believe in yourself that you will make it between a rock, especially when it's a little bigger than this one, and that hard place that you're stuck between. You will find a way to kick yourself out of that. So believe in the light and hang on to it. Make a decision, number 2. You will always succeed because you have learned something. You haven't made the wrong decision. You've made a learned spot decision. You know not to do that again if it didn't come out to the outcome you wanted. But remember to make a decision because you will always learn. As you heard, as Margarita was listening and Mariah talking about me, is I believe in continuous learning. So I'm not ever looking at something that's wrong. I'm always looking at something that teaches me something new. Oh, well, I know that this is not the outcome that's going to come with this one. Let me find a different way to get there. So do not follow that path that someone else has put together. And don't wait for others to open the right doors for you. You know what doors to go in. If the decision is a good decision based on the facts that you've spoken about, make that decision and walk forward. Go where there has been no path. I want you to put the pedal to the metal and do what is great for you. Leave a trail of what things that you're going to do. Sizzle, baby, you can do it. So just one closing thought. Now, fortune cookies can be fun, and they may give you something to think about. But don't let fortune cookies rule your life. Honey, eat the cookie.
Thank you so much, Cyndi, for that wonderful speech. And I wanted to read you something that I got from a fortune cookie this week. Kid you not. It says, take pride in what makes you unique. Soon, life will become more interesting. You never know, right? I wanted to note, which I forgot to mention before, that Cyndi and Darlene were the first of the group that auditioned both virtual and in person. So they even had an extra layer to their auditions. Our next speaker is Darlene Blanco. She is vivacious, dynamic, and wise. Darlene Blanco is the head of Workforce and Talent Development at Staten Island's Chamber of Commerce, helping businesses and institutions fulfill their workforce needs. She is also the founder of Voyage Consulting and Business Solutions, LLC, an organization dedicated to providing career coaching and consulting services. Darlene is passionate about helping others ignite their careers. Her volunteer activities include serving as administrative manager for District 83 Toastmasters and delivering customized in-person virtual curriculum covering career readiness, professionalism, public speaking, and personal branding. Tonight, she will speak on networking with intent. Please help me welcome Darlene Blanco.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for that amazing intro. It is such a pleasure to be here with you this evening and to be the closing speaker of this amazing Pedal to the Metal event. As you've seen from all of these Omni-Pro professionals, they are such a wonderful group of talented speakers, and I am so excited to be a part of this group. So tonight, I'm going to deep dive on one of my most favorite topics, networking, specifically networking with intent. As we think holistically about networking, we can't deny the benefits it brings us. We meet new people, we make new friends, we learn new things, and we're exposed to different perspectives. This helps us grow both personally and professionally. Welcome guests tonight. Tonight, it's all about networking with intent. I had my epiphany a couple of years back, pre-pandemic, when I met one of my best friends, Nicole, at the bus stop. I'm going to recap what that journey looked like for me. Hang on for just a sec. It is Tuesday morning. It is about 5:45. That bus is supposed to be on arrival by 6 a.m. Running to my bus stop. Here I am, ready for work. Where is the bus? Where is the bus? The line of people waiting for the bus is growing behind me. No one is interacting. No one's speaking to each other. Some have their phones, others have a newspaper, others are just staring into outer space. No one is engaging in conversation. Everyone is just patiently waiting for that bus. They all know they have to be at work. There are deliverables and following suit. But then my phone died. Gosh, I have no choice but to bother the people around me. No more battery life. You know what's going on with the bus? Fellow Toastmasters that are not Toastmasters, soon to be Toastmasters after this event. That is how I met my best friend, Nicole. To turn around and interrupt conversation and begin a conversation and interrupt her conversation with her cell phone, right? I don't know when this bus is coming. Do you know when this bus is coming? I don't know. 23 minutes later, we are still waiting for the same bus, but who knew that we were making a friendship that I would value for a lifetime. We never know when people are going to come in our lives, and we need to be ready for these amazing events that happen. The day that I met my best friend Nicole on that bus was an amazing day, because I had no idea that she would be someone who would become a cherished friend. Our children would become friends. You know how they talk about those people? Family, friends that become family. We can't choose the families that we're born into, but we can make amazing friends that will become our family. I talked to you about this story because it was my epiphany, and it was at a time before the pandemic had even struck. I was open to making a new friend because I was interrupted not knowing that I didn't have battery life on my phone, so I started a conversation with a random stranger. This conversation became adventures we would go on, family trips, our children would become friends, but then it really hits home because this random stranger helped us with a very selfless act. My kid brother, he was diagnosed with end-stage kidney failure. It was a shock. He's young, only 22 years old. How does this happen to someone that age? My friend that I met happened to live in Arizona, near the Mayo Clinic, with all of the resources available. And we were able to fly my brother down and to be able to have testing done for him at this facility. Folks, it was so meaningful to me that this random stranger that I met on a street corner waiting for a bus in New York City, because I live in New York City, would be someone that would become so amazing in my future and to be a lifesaver to my brother in the selfless act. You never know what these things will bring you, strangers that you bring into your circle, right? We're all very special. So as we think about networking, let's think about that. Let's ask ourselves, are we tuning in or are we tuning out? Are we present in conversations? Are we putting our cell phone down to be open, to be approached, to engage in a dialogue? Is that really happening? Folks, the story I told happened in a pre-COVID world. In a post-COVID world, we're looking at social anxieties, social distancing, shelter in place, restaurant closures. The world quickly changed, and people are now having a difficult time reacclimating and getting back out there. The experience is not the same for everyone. So as we think about networking with intent, I invite for you to respect those boundaries, but also to remind yourself that you have to be present in order for those opportunities to happen. Post-COVID anxiety is a real thing, and there are so many people that are lonely and looking for outreach. Returning to the normal has not been easy for everyone. I personally am someone who's always very shy and timid and came to a public speaking group to really find myself and to learn to build confidence to express myself. Being in a COVID environment shut down a lot for me, and it didn't help me as I wanted to come out and express myself. Doing it on a virtual platform is not the same. We all have such a special connection that we want to be able to share with each other. But let's just remember that in order for us to be successful with this networking piece that we're going to reintroduce, we need to be mindful that the world's changed, and we want to be sensitive to those that might be feeling some anxieties about getting back to normal. So we should ask, is it okay to hug? Is it okay to shoulder bump? Is it okay to fist bump? What are you comfortable with? I also want to make sure that we talk about changing our mindset. We have to kind of reset the things that we're doing if we're going to network with intent. We have to prepare an action plan. We have to know what are the opportunities around us that we're going to come up so that we can be able to interject that networking with intent so that it's intentful. We need to change our mindset. We also need to make sure that that counter mindset, that little voice that always talks us out of everything, that we kind of slap it away and don't pay attention to it. This happens to me every morning when my alarm goes off telling me it's time to hit the treadmill and get my morning workout in. Folks, if I press the snooze button twice, I've now missed my window for my exercise and I'm going to not have a better day, right? So let's make sure that we don't talk ourselves out of things, right? We have to make sure if we're preparing this action plan and we know we're going to get out and make new friends and meet new people, that we're not going to let anything talk us out of that. So if there's an opportunity for that in-person meeting, don't get talked out of being in person and say, oh, I'm just going to Zoom on it. Don't do it. Change that mindset. I also ask that you create a credibility jar. I think it's important to keep yourself accountable. If we're going to network with intent and we're going to prepare an action plan and we're going to be more cognizant of how we're going to reach and connect people, we need to keep track of what we're doing. Now, this should be something simple. So here's my credibility jar. It seems like very fancy, but it's just from the dollar store. And I have quite a few things in there that I'll share with you in a little bit. But before I get into my personal credibility jar, I just want to share a great example of how you can network with intent without even realizing you're doing it. Plan for it. be present. A good friend, a Toastmaster from a club of mine, she was talking to me about her supermarket experience. And she shared with me how she used to visit this local supermarket, and it would be a race to get to the shortest line. She would race to get to that shortest line. Whoever's got the least items in the cart, I want to get in and out of the supermarket as fast as I can. But then Joyce said to us, that's not the case anymore. You know, ever since COVID, now when I get to the supermarket, I look for the longest line with the people that have the most items in their wagon. Why would you do this? Well, it gives me an opportunity to chat with whoever's in front, to chat with whoever's on the side, and to chat with whoever's behind. You're making friends. We're making human connections without even realizing it, just by being present. We're online at our local supermarket, and what an opportunity to quickly make a friend. But we're not going to have that opportunity if we're tuned out in our phone, not paying attention and not being present. So let's just be present at that time. Now I'll go into my credibility jar because I know I stirred up some curiosity, right? So I'll open it up. There's only a few things in here, but these are real true because I'm one of those people. If I'm talking about something, I'm not going to say, you should do this and you should do that, and then I don't do it. I am definitely a credibility jar person. So here are the things that I did to get out of my comfort zone and to network with intent this month, the month of July. Visited the supermarket in person instead of ordering on Instacart. Yes, we all love Instacart, right? But guess what? Joyce just shared with us how easily it is to make a new friend at the supermarket. So therefore, Instacart was not getting any of my delivery and service overage charges, and instead I was going to make new friends at the supermarket. Stuck to it. Here's the proof. Next up, attend in-person meetings instead of being on Zoom. We just heard Margarita talk about that, and we heard Isaak mention it as well. So I've done that a couple of times, and I have to tell you, it was invigorating. And at first I was anxious and nervous about seeing everyone and what feeling it would be. But then I was overwhelmed because it was amazing, and I felt all that positive energy. Humans have such a special connection, and we have such a special light to share with each other. So let's make sure we can get back to those in-person opportunities when it's safe and if everyone feels comfortable. All right. Aha, I went to a salsa social from a different studio. So friends, I am a professional salsa dancer. Well, maybe I think I'm what I think I look like versus what they look like. My son and I take lessons regularly. And it's something that you do if you want to get out of your comfort zone. You go to another studio social, another opportunity to make new friends. I did that this month. And last one, I started mentoring a new Toastmasters club. A different town, a different company, all different Toastmaster members, great opportunity to make new friends. This is my credibility jar for the month of July through August, and it continues to grow. I keep this in my office, and it's a reminder that I need to make sure I'm having human connection and then I'm networking with intent. Local Dollar Tree, or maybe it's now $1.25. Okay. I want to remind everyone, as I was talking about earlier, you know, we all have such a special light and a human touch, and smiles are really contagious. I've always been told, oh, Darlene, you're so pleasant, you're so bubbly, you're so wonderful to be around, because each and every one of you have something so special, and it's nice to be around that. It's a human connection, it's a special touch that we all have, and we're meant, as our district leader has even mentioned, we're meant to work together because we are better together. And that is the theme of our District 83's leadership team this year. And I am honored to be a part of Omni-Pro Speakers and to be representing my district and to help everyone really put the pedal to the metal, break out of this new world that we've been embedded into and get back into that personal setting. Remember, when we were younger, it was really easy to make friends. We were kids, they threw us in a sandbox. Everybody just became a friend. You went to school, you made a friend. It was so easy. But as adults, we have to really be intentional about that. We join volunteer groups. We find people that have common interests in our work setting. We even find other friends of friends and become friends with those folks. So we're meant to have that human touch. Not only are smiles contagious, I also leave you with this last closing, and I always use her in a majority of my speeches only because it's something that I feel very passionate about. Maya always said it so wonderfully. People never forget how you make them feel. Put your phone down. Look, don't be distracted. Pay attention. Be intent in those conversations and those dialogues. When we play that game of telephone, it's pretty humorous, right? We played it as kids and no one ever had the right in messaging. But guess what, folks? That game hasn't changed much. Whether you're at work or whether you're at home or whether you're at your volunteer organization, messages never come out the way they never get received sometimes the way they're intended to be. And that's always a barrier. So imagine all the things that we can work on if we come together, better together, and we network with intent. Thank you for your time this evening. Thank you.
Darlene, thank you for that wonderful speech. We hope that you have enjoyed this evening with the Omni-Pro Speakers Bureau. Whenever we speak, we know that we're changing a life. That is our mission. We want to be able to change a life. Before I hand over the lectern to Anne-Marie, I'd like everybody to turn on their cameras because Shawnette is going to take a picture of all of us. So please turn on your